Hi students, this is Mr. Ivan. So this is the fifth application of differentiation, which is Maxima and Minima word problem. Here are some tips that you need to know before you start this type of question. Okay, read the question thoroughly. Okay, if there are two variables on the right side, for example, volume of a cylinder is equals to pi r square h. You cannot differentiate. So you need to make one of them the subject of the other. Usually they will give you information, or probably you can use similar triangle, okay, when it is like in a cone. Next, form the equation. They will tell you what equation to form. If you cannot form the equation, then just take the equation and continue doing. Differentiate once to find the stationary point, because for stationary point dy dx equals to 0. But in the case whereby it's always area and volume, then you are talking about dA dx, or maybe dv dr. Okay, the a and the v are usually the y, the x and the r or the h are usually the x values. Okay, equate to 0, find out what is the x. After you find out what is the x, if they ask you to show that it's a maximum or minimum, use either your first or second derivative test to determine whether is it maximum or minimum, if the question asks you to do so. Okay, so over here I gave you one example whereby a right circular cone has the base of r and h. You see, so usually most of the time the right circular cone will be similar triangle. Okay, but in this case they did tell you that the sum of the radius and the height is equals to 10. That means r plus h is equals to 10. Now, the question asks you to express h in terms of r. They are very kind to tell you to do so. If not, sometimes you look at the equation. This equation got no h. No h means you make h the subject. Okay, you make h the subject. So h is equals to 10 minus r. Alright, so that's first part. Then show that the volume of the cone is given by this. Volume of cone is equals to 1/3 pi r square h. So I cannot differentiate this because there are two variables on the right side. I replace the h by 1/3 pi r square. The h is called 10 minus r, which is from here. So I already found the equation that the question wants. Okay, this is only the starting part. Okay, part 1. All right, part 2, straight away, once you got the equation 1/3 pi r square 10 minus r. Okay, be careful, this is a product. This times this, the 1/3 pi can just leave it on the outside. So this is u and then this is v. We have to use product rule to do differentiation. When we differentiate this, v is on the left and r is on the right. So when you do differentiation, it's called dv dr equals to 1/3 pi. I can put it here. Then let's apply our product rule. Okay, u keep it there. dv dx, differentiate v, -1. Okay, plus keep v, 10 minus r, differentiate u, 2r. Okay, you can also make it nice first. 1/3 pi on the outside, negative r square plus 20r, okay, minus 2r square. And you are going to have 1/3 pi. Always make your dv dr nice first before you continue. 20r minus 3r square. Okay, of course you can further factorize it. Next, the concept is for stationary. Okay, for v to be stationary, or you say stationary v, stationary point is either maximum, minimum, or point of inflection. Okay, the concept is dv dr is equals to 0. So 1/3 pi 20r minus 3r square is equals to 0. I divide the 1/3 pi over and factorize out the r at the same time. 20 minus 3r equals to 0. Okay, and there we have it. R equals to 0 or R equals to 20 over 3. In this case, R cannot be 0 because the radius have to be greater than 0. Okay, so now we found the R already. So that's the second step. So third step, show that V is maximum and find the maximum volume. Okay, usually in this kind of question, we always use the second derivative test. So dv dr, what is dv dr? So that's why dv dr is good to make your dv dr nice. 1/3 pi and then 20r minus 3r square. What is the second derivative? It's called d2v over dr square is equals to 1/3 pi, can leave it on the outside. Differentiate now on the inside. 20 minus 6r. Okay, so when R equals to 20 over 3. My d2v over dr square is equals to, sub it in, 1/3 pi 20 minus 6 times of 20 over 3. Okay, that will give you 1/3 pi 20 minus cancel. This is 240. Okay, so this is equals to negative 20 over 3 pi. What happens if the second derivative is less than 0? So this means that the volume is maximum. Okay, when R is equals to 20 over 3. Okay, so now the last part is we need to sub the 20 over 3 into the V. V is equals to 1/3 pi R square 10 minus R. I now sub in R equals to 20 over 3. I get my volume. Okay, so these are the 3 steps. First part, the question will always give you a information. Use the information to make one the subject of the other. Second part, form the equation. After you form the equation, take the first derivative, that means dv dr, and then equate to 0 to find the r. Third, if the question asks you to show that it's maximum, then you do the second derivative test, sub in to show that whether is it maximum or minimum. And fourth, if the question asks for the maximum volume, then you sub the r back into the question to find the maximum volume.